Welcome to your deep dive all about uh, getting those cloud costs under control. We're talking rate optimization. And judging by the stack of FinOps Foundation reports you sent our way,
Yeah,
you're not messing around.
it's a smart move.
Because while everyone loves talking about cutting cloud waste,
Right.
optimizing your rates is like finding hidden savings most people overlook.
Okay, so less turning off the lights and more getting a better deal on the electricity bill itself.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
But rate optimization,
I gotta be honest,
Yeah.
it sounds a tad dry.
give us the juicy bits.
What's in it for someone like our listener?
It's about making the economics of the cloud work harder for you.
Not just the tech side.
Okay.
Think of it like this. The FinOps Foundation found that companies who nail their rate optimization strategy can free up budget for other priorities.
Sometimes by a significant margin.
That's the kind of bottom line impact I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But how do we actually do that? I'm guessing just asking nicely for a discount doesn't usually cut it,
You'd be surprised. Negotiated discounts are definitely part of the game.
especially if you're a larger organization.
Okay.
But one of the most powerful levers the FinOps Foundation highlights is the strategic use of commitment-based discounts.
Okay, commitment-based discounts.
It's like a long-term relationship in the cloud.
And like all relationships.
There's got to be some give and take.
Exactly. It's about finding that sweet spot between cost savings and flexibility.
The FinOps Foundation breaks down commitment discounts into two main buckets:
Okay.
resource-based and spend-based.
Resource-based is like locking in a guaranteed rate on a specific virtual machine type for a set period.
So if you know you're going to need a certain amount of computing power no matter what,
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense.
Right.
But what if our listeners' needs are a little more, shall we say, dynamic?
That's where spend-based commitments come in.
Instead of committing to a specific resource,
Okay.
you're committing to a certain level of spending with a cloud provider over a period of time.
So more like saying, hey, I promise to spend at least this much with you, so give me a break on the overall bill.
Precisely.
Now, here's where the FinOps Foundation gets really interesting.
Okay.
They emphasize that no matter which flavor of commitment you choose,
It's absolutely crucial to have a centralized team.
ideally your FinOps team,
Okay.
making these decisions.
Because the last thing you want is different departments playing commitment roulette with the cloud budget.
Right.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. The FinOps Foundation even recommends formalizing this process with something they call a commitment governance model.
It's about setting clear roles and responsibilities, defining thresholds for different types of commitments, and making sure everyone is on the same page.
Love it.
Structured, strategic, and most importantly,
Someone's accountable.
right.
But let's get down to brass tacks here.
How does a listener actually use this rate optimization magic in the real world?
Well, one crucial insight from the FinOps Foundation is to strike a balance between optimizing for today and planning for tomorrow.
It's tempting to wait until everything is perfectly optimized before you commit to anything.
Right. Gotta love that shiny object syndrome.
Always chasing the next optimization before maximizing what you've already got.
Exactly. The FinOps Foundation's research actually shows that companies who wait too long to optimize their rates miss out on significant savings.
They recommend a more iterative approach,
Okay.
starting with what they call low-hanging fruit.
Give us an example of one of these so-called low-hanging fruits.
I'm always up for a good metaphorical snack break.
One they highlight is right-sizing your existing resources.
Are you over-provisioning virtual machines or other services? That's wasted money right there.
So before you even think about commitments, make sure you're not paying for more than you actually need.
Exactly.
Got it.
And once you've tackled those easy wins,
You can start looking at those more strategic commitment-based discounts.
so we've tackled the low-hanging fruit, we've got our FinOps team assembled,
What's next on our rate optimization to-do list?
now it's time to get smart about where you commit. The FinOps Foundation stresses that it's not just a blanket spend more, save more situation.
There are smarter ways to go about it.
Okay, intrigue me.
What are these smarter ways our listeners should have on their radar?
One of the most powerful tools in the FinOps Foundation arsenal is something they call the green-red approach to commitment purchases.
It's all about aligning your discount strategy with the volatility of your workloads.
Green-red.
Sounds a bit like a traffic light for my cloud budget.
Green means go for commitments, and red means, whoa, slow down.
You're picking it up fast.
Green represents those steady-state, mission-critical workloads where, you'll need a certain level of resources no matter what.
Think databases, core applications, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Those are prime candidates for those resource-based commitments we talked about earlier, like reserved instances.
Makes sense. If it's always running and it's business critical,
Right.
lock in that discount and sleep soundly.
What about the red light scenarios?
What makes a workload fall into that category?
Red is for the workloads that are more experimental, short-lived, or prone to unpredictable spikes.
Things like development and testing environments, batch processing jobs, or even some data analytics workloads might fit here.
Okay.
Committing to long-term discounts for those could actually cost you more in the long run.
Because if you're not careful, you end up paying for a discount on resources you're not fully utilizing.
Right.
Ouch.
So how do you actually apply this green-red approach?
It's one thing to label things.
But how does our listener turn that into action?
The FinOps Foundation recommends a pretty cool exercise, literally mapping out your applications and workloads using this color-coded system.
This gives you a visual snapshot of where those commitment opportunities are and where you might want to hold off.
I'm a sucker for a good visual.
But let's talk about those red light workloads a bit more.
Sure.
Are we just supposed to accept paying full price for those?
Not necessarily. Remember those interruptible instances we touched on earlier?
They come with their own set of trade-offs.
But they can be a goldmine for certain red light scenarios.
All right, remind me, why are these interruptible instances such a big deal?
And more importantly, how do they actually work?
Think of it like standby tickets for your cloud workloads.
You're essentially saying to the cloud provider, hey, I'll take those spare resources you have lying around at a steep discount, but I understand you might need them back with short notice.
So you're getting a killer deal.
But you're at the mercy of the cloud's availability.
Right.
Sounds a bit like a gamble.
There's definitely an element of risk.
Which is why the FinOps Foundation emphasizes that interruptible instances, or spot instances, as they're often called,
Aren't right for every workload.
Okay.
But when used strategically, they can lead to some seriously impressive cost savings.
We're talking up to 70% or more compared to on-demand pricing.
Okay, 70% is definitely getting my attention.
Let's say our listener is intrigued.
How do they actually figure out which workloads are a good fit for this whole spot instance thing?
It's not just about cost savings.
It's about understanding the workload's tolerance for interruption.
Okay.
Can it handle being stopped and restarted without major disruption?
How much data loss is acceptable?
These are key questions the FinOps Foundation says you need to answer.
So talk to your engineers, understand your applications, and don't throw mission-critical workloads into the interruptible ring.
Right.
Got it.
And if you can, stomach a bit of risk.
Spot instances can be a powerful tool for taming those red light workloads.
All right, so we've got our green-red approach. We're strategically using spot instances for those more volatile workloads. Anything else our listeners should have on their rate optimization playbook?
One crucial point the FinOps Foundation emphasizes is that rate optimization isn't a set it and forget it kind of deal. It's an ongoing process.
Because cloud needs change. New services pop up faster than mushrooms after a rain shower.
Yeah.
It's a lot to keep track of.
Exactly. And here's where having a strong FinOps practice in place really pays off. The FinOps Foundation talks about establishing a continuous cycle of analyzing your cloud usage, making informed purchasing decisions, and then analyzing again as your needs evolve.
So it's about building those feedback loops and adapting your strategy over time.
Right.
But I'm curious, are there ever times when optimizing your rates might actually work against your other cost optimization efforts?
That's a really insightful question.
And one the FinOps Foundation tackles head-on.
Okay.
They call it the potential conflict between rate optimization and, say, workload optimization.
Okay, unpack that for us.
What kind of conflict are we talking about here?
Let's say you've committed to a reserved instance for a specific virtual machine type to get that sweet discounted rate.
Okay.
But then, through some clever optimization, your engineering team figures out a way to achieve the same performance with a smaller, less expensive instance type.
So now you're stuck with a discount on a resource you no longer need.
That's frustrating.
It's a classic example of how optimizing in silos can backfire. The FinOps Foundation stresses the importance of having a holistic view of your cloud costs.
Okay.
Rate optimization should be one piece of a larger puzzle working in harmony with other initiatives, like workload optimization, cloud sustainability, and even IT asset management.
So communication is key.
Absolutely.
Break down those silos. Get your FinOps engineering and procurement teams on the same page.
The FinOps Foundation provides some really compelling case studies of companies who've successfully integrated rate optimization into their broader cloud cost management strategies.
And the results speak for themselves.
All right, last question before we wrap things up.
Sure.
Any final words of wisdom for our listeners as they embark on their rate optimization journey?
The FinOps Foundation offers a wealth of resources and best practices, so definitely tap into that knowledge base.
But most importantly, don't be afraid to experiment,
Yeah.
learn from your mistakes, and continuously iterate.
It's a journey, not a destination.
All
I
right.
love it. Well, on that note, we'll leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question.
The FinOps Foundation highlights the importance of spreading out commitment purchases throughout the year,
Right.
but they don't delve into when the best times to buy might be.
Could there be seasonal trends or market fluctuations that savvy FinOps practitioners can capitalize on? Something to ponder.
Excellent point.
There's always more to discover in the ever-evolving world of cloud finance.
And that, my friends, is a wrap on our deep dive into rate optimization. We hope you've gleaned some valuable insights and practical tips to take your cloud cost management to the next level. Until next time, happy optimizing.